okay with that? Can you deal with that? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And I remember selling myself on this, because I needed a job, okay? And I couldn't screw around. I needed a job. So I went in there and I said, I am the smartest person that you can possibly hire for this. It's like, you cannot get anyone who will be smarter than me. Not even this guy, Michael Wayland, who, we're coming up on our 10th anniversary together, March 27, 2000. That's our anniversary. Me and Mike hired on the same day. And Mike was more or less right out of college at the time, and he liked to stick things up his nose. Where's the cheese? Hang on. So anyway, so I kind of sold myself with that, and she's kind of, but she's sort of looking at me like, okay, hotshot, you want to, and I'm like, listen, and it's always like, listen, I have experience, I'm more of an adult, and I also talked about all the creative things I had done, how I could bring that into the position of DVD producer. And it was interesting what she kind of came back with was, well, this isn't exactly like a creative kind of position, which is, I think, how that had been looked at in the past, that it was more technical. But this is art, to some degree, that we're working on. We're working on anime, these programs, and I'm like, well, I think it can be more like that, because DVD, what makes DVD so great? One of the things are the extras, all that bonus things that you can have that you don't get on videotapes, and a lot of that is sort of more creative things that people have to come up with and create and add. And I really thought that adding that to the process could be something. And she was like, well, okay, that's not exactly the job, but so then I went in to go meet with John when I was, in the my callback, when I had to go in and sit down with him. And I get into his office, and he's like, all right, sit down. And he's got that freaking, is there a problem, officer? Kind of windshield glasses, that you see here, the reflection of yourself. He took all of his style, I think, from like Gordon Gekko in Wall Street, slick back hair, that same kind of shirts. He was together, this dude, okay? And kind of intimidating, sort of rough, I'm gonna talk kind of fast and everything. And he had, so he sits me down and he's like, so, you're smart? So I can't do better than you. And I was just like, no, you can't. He's like, what does that mean? He shows me this picture on the wall. The eagles. And there's a picture of these eagles sitting there, and there's big majestic eagles, but with their talons out, like coming down. And I'm like, I was like, well, that represents, strength and honor and these things. He's like, yeah, what else does that mean? He said, fuck with me and I'll kill you. And he said, right. So he's like, all right, smart guy, whatever, and he hired me. And that's the thing, is that, and the fact is that I went toe-to-toe with him and stood up to him because he's like, oh, maybe this guy's going to be this egotistical hotshot, which I am. But the thing is I back it up with knowing what the hell I'm doing, and kind of, most of the time, right? Come on. But that was really the thing, and he was very confrontational. If you were getting bitched out for something, because he would take everyone to task now and again. And the thing was, if you went in there and you were like, yeah, but and try to make excuses, he just wouldn't respect that. But like Ross. That would be Ross over on the right. Look, it's Lone Star. Where were we? Village Idiot? Okay, it's not there anymore. We used to go there a lot. Anyway, Ross, nobody took a beating like Ross. And Ross would go in there, and he would just be yelling at him. He'd be standing up, pointing on it, and Ross would be like, are you done? And he'd be like, yeah. He's like, okay. He's like, did you get it? He's like, understood. He goes, and then John would just totally, after John would be like, what the fuck is wrong with this fucking thing, you fucking idiot, blah, 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 blah. And then Ross would stand there, can I go back to work? And then John would be like, you took that like a man. Get back to work, kid. And he'd go, something about John O'Donnell is John had many kind of platitudes, JOD-isms. Does anybody remember any JOD-isms, you guys?
So there's a bunch.
Like, what was the one that you told me yesterday?
Plan your work and work your plan.
Don't expect what you don't inspect.
with the monkey one. The one where you gotta either feed the monkey or kill the monkey.
Yeah, and that's what we were working for. Like everything was black and white, you know? And here's my favorite JODism, or a story that he would tell, relating to Ross years later. Because, and here's a little, and I learned a lot working for this guy. And there are certain things, because business is business. We had a lot of fun, as these pictures definitely show you that. But business is business. And I'm a hard ass in a lot of the stuff that I do. And I come to these conventions and I make dick jokes and I laugh and everything. But, like, seriously, you know, I can be a tough guy to work for if you don't know what you're doing. Because I'm taking that sort of from John and Stephanie, then I'm going to call people out on that, you know? And if you want to do this kind of work, focus, get it together, and let's do some work. So, John had a story that he learned when he was, you know, a Harvard MBA. These two good buddies right there. And that would be Coke in John's class, because John does not drink alcohol.
He drinks O'Doul's.
You know, he does drink O'Doul's, which I was like, why? Who drinks beer for the taste? Come on. You know, anyway, but, you know, John said he's like, had a,
You know, the MD Geist in the corner I have.
that's right.
Yes.
That John had, you know, yes, and most dangerous guys. I have a funny story to go with that too. That John had, you know, had this professor, sort of a higher up that you know, he got inspiration from. And the conversation was, when is the right time to fire somebody? When is the right time to fire somebody?
Anytime. Now. When it's necessary.
The first time it occurs to you that you might have to. That is it. And let me tell you something, he's right. He's right. It's cold, but he's right. Okay? Now that's the thing, is that, you know, maybe this person will turn around, maybe they won't. Probably they won't. And that was like an approach he took, and sometimes he had regrets about that, not doing it. And that's the thing, whereas, you know, he told me that story, he's like, when is the best time to fire somebody? The first time it occurs to you that you might have to. So, this is a hardcore dude, okay? Now, MD Geist, here's a little side story about that. Do you guys know about the Kurt Russell thing, MD Geist?
I know about the Geist Rider.
Well, the Geist Rider, but see, John used to live over on 57th Street, okay, and in his apartment building, and one of the other tenants in the building was Kurt Russell, and Goldie Hawn lived in that building. So he would run into Kurt Russell in the hallway all the time. Now, MD Geist was something that Central Park Media didn't just license, they owned it. They bought it outright. And I mean, this was John's baby. I mean, the whole U.S. Manga Corps thing, right, was from that, you know, sit here and pay attention because this is going to go on for 5 minutes before you can watch your DVD, you can't skip it, you know, that thing. And he had conversations with Kurt about, like, you know, making a movie. Like, we should make this a movie, this would be great, you make a star, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, and the next thing I know, Kurt Russell has this movie called Soldier that comes out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, have you ever seen Soldier? Which is a rip-off of MD Geist. It's about, like, this super trained soldier who they think he's obsolete, and they dump him, leave him for dead on, like, this garbage planet, and then he sort of leads this revolt. And it was funny that he, you know, that does Soldier make sense? You know, it's thin at best, but yeah. So, and he was like convinced that fucker stole my idea. So, do you guys have any JOD stories, or like when you're first meeting him? Like, I know your first meeting with him on the airplane.
Yeah, I actually met JOD by sitting next to him on an airplane. I was going home to visit my family. It was summer, and I had worked for, I had, you know, started Anime News Network. I was kind of well known, and he knew who I was, and I way knew who he was because he had this giant denim Team CPM jacket with area on it.
Collar up.
And I'm like, that's John O'Connell. And by luck and happenstance, I got the seat next to him, and he talked my ear off for the entire plane ride, and he offered me a job on the spot, which was really, really weird.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. At the time, especially, CPM was a